Right now we are here. Game On continues, and I'm joined in the studio by a lady and gentleman who represent a sport that is not one of the most popular in the country. It is not your traditional football or athletics or basketball. We are talking about alternative sports or other sports. And here we are discussing in particular a sport known as Icestock. Yes, and with me in the studio to explain to us what Icestock is all about and to tell us about this sport and the participation, what has been going on in the country within the Icestock Sports Federation and the areas and the competitions that they've participated in across the years that they've been around. Mark you, they've been here in the country. This sport has been active in the country for the last 22 years. 22 years. I mean it. In the studio with me is the president of the Icestock Sports Kenya Federation, who is also the president of the Icestock Federation in Africa. I am talking about Mr. Tim Ngugi. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Yeah, warm welcome. And Tim Ngugi is joined in the studio by a lady who actually takes time, her profession actually is bang in the world of sports. She's the team captain of the Kenya Icestock team. She's also one of the players, but she also works as a researcher in sports tourism and is also a university lecturer. She'll tell us more about herself, of course. Welcome to the studio, Dr. Winnie Tubey.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. Yes. Well, we'll get straight to it. Bwana President, what is Icestock? Let's just start there.
Now, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Icestock sport is a sport like any other, and it has been played globally for the last 100 years. Predominantly, when it started, it was played in the German-speaking countries in Europe. But now, as we speak, it has spread to all the continents. We have teams in Australia, Oceania, the whole of Oceania, Europe, Canada, North America, South America. We have about 55 nations now playing globally. It's like a cousin to curling. Those of you who know curling, because we play it on ice. I'll be explaining later how we play it in Kenya because we don't have ice. And it's a very enjoyable game. Like you have rightly said, we have now the emerging sports. Moving away from the traditional sports, we are now trying to come up with new sports globally. Even in Kenya, we have sports like kabaddi, roll ball, which never used to be there. So Icestock sport is one of them. And we have played for 22 years, like you said, and we have traveled globally. So we use what we call a stock. A stock is the equipment we use. We have brought one sample here. Yeah. You'll be able to see it. And we basically slide through the stock over a distance of about 30 meters. And the idea is to hit your opponent's stocks and have your stock remain nearest to what we call the puck, which I'll be showing you. And there is a scoring system. But that's just one method where we have team game. We also have individual target where you play alone and you also score. We have team target, and finally we have distance throw. So basically that's what it is.
Okay.
Yes.
How did you get into Icestock, Doctor?
It's interesting because I got into Icestock through sports tourism. I was presenting a paper at a conference on sports tourism, and I met with the president, and he explained this novel game to me, and I thought, why not? And then at that time we were planning to go for the World Championships, and they had started off with the trainings through the different stages. So I joined the game, and within a year I had moved up the ranks, and I happened to represent the country in Innsbruck, Austria, for the World Championships at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I got into Icestock.
All right. Okay. What about yourself, Ngugi? How long have you been in the sport, and how did you get introduced into it?
I went to Germany to study as an international coach in handball at Leipzig University, and I stayed there for about 7 months. But when we were there, we were African nations and Asian nations. So they had picked two people from each country.
Yeah.
So the president of Icestock Sport, International Federation Icestock, came to learn that actually we have people at Leipzig University from Asia and Africa. So he requested for 2 days to come and introduce Icestock Sport to us. And then he promised, when you go back to your countries, we'll send over technical people and equipment. And that was 1997 when I came back. And by 1999, I started the sport in the universities. I was working at University of Nairobi at the sports department. I introduced the sport there, and there we are. 2022, we participate in our first World Championships in Switzerland. For the first time playing
2002, sorry.
2002.
Yes.
2002, sorry. And we flew there and played in a very, for the first time without having ever played on ice. And the rest is history. Yes. Yes.
Roughly how many people are involved in the sport in the country?
We are about 100 people in the country, but we are scattered in various counties. Whenever we have an event or we are preparing to go out, we normally come over to Nairobi and train together. Our grounds are at University of Nairobi, which is just across here. And like now we are training seriously because we are going for Africa Cup in Gabon, end of this month.
Okay.
So we are there. Yes.
Madam Captain,
Yes.
tell me about your team. How many players do you need to have in the team for you to be able to begin playing, or for you to have a game or team game? You said there are individual targets, but then there are team targets. For a team, how many people are needed? And then you can tell me a little bit about the composition of your team.
Right. So for a game to commence, we need 4 players on each side, and that becomes a team game. However, of course, we need the reserves. So normally 2 reserves are recommended for any team to succeed. Yeah. As it is right now with the Kenyan team, we have about 10 ladies who are ready to join us for the African Cup tournament that is coming up in Gabon in this June. And therefore, for the composition of our team, we are made up of young people and the rest of us who are now gradually getting out from the young generation bracket, transitioning to the technical team, transitioning to coaching and to management. But as it is, we are still part of the team because of challenges that are here and there. And yes, we are excited to see new players coming in. The interest is growing. We are spreading all over the country. We are having a great membership drive, as it were. So, yes. Okay.
Your team, the team that is going to Gabon,
yes.
What is your rank and what are your targets when you go to Gabon? Are you African champions material, or are you just there to just participate and put our flag out there?
No, we go there to compete. Yeah. We go there to show that we got it. And interestingly enough, we just last year we were in the East African Championships in Uganda, and you can see the as it is represented. At the time we won the East Africa Championships, the ladies lifted the trophy as well as the gentlemen. And now as we go into the African Championships, we are coming back. We have the African Championships in a champion in our team. One of our members was actually the African champion last African Championship. Okay. And yes, we're bringing our A game.
Okay.
Right.
One of them is African champion in the individual.
In the individual.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but in the team sports.
In the team sport, we are the African champions.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yes. All right. Yes. So we are looking at the African champions in ice.
Right here.
Okay, that's really amazing. And why do you think having done all that and having an active sport, why is it that there are not so many people playing?
First of all, I think there is a an issue of lack of interest by media in terms of informing the public that this thing exists, this sport exists.
Yeah.
All the time we've had even Namibia, Gabon come over to Kenya for Africa Cup. We have always invited media houses, and it's unfortunate. So they don't appear, and therefore chances of people knowing us is becomes limited.
Yeah.
And we are basically, most of the players, let me say like 80% of the players are university people.
Okay.
Because that's where it originated. So you go to all the universities, or most of the universities, you find that people know about Icestock sport.
Okay.
Like she has just put it, if I may tell you briefly,
Sorry.
I've been working in the universities teaching sports, leisure and recreation for many years. My vice president is Dr. Janet Chumba Musonye. She's right now out of the country. My secretary general works with the Ministry of Education. The assistant secretary general is Professor Simon Munai, who is also out of the country at the moment. We have Dr. Chumba here. We have Sebastian Okech, who is a prominent netball referee, but he is also out of the country. And another member, Walter Sang, who is also in the US at the moment. The champion we are talking about, the ladies champion, actually trains in Germany. And she'll be flying all the way to join us to proceed to Gabon.
Okay.
So and all those people are sports professionals in their own right.
Yes.
Yes, and that's why we really work hard. We meet most of our own costs. We pay our way for our way when we go out.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And just talking about that, you've mentioned the institutions, and
Right.
they have a capacity. The educational institutions in this country have a capacity to grow sports. We have seen, for example, when you look at rugby, for many years, rugby was a preserve of a few private schools, the likes of Strathmore, Nairobi School, Lenana, etc.
Yes.
And then the other place where you could find rugby in this country was only in the universities.
Right.
Actually, you would find Main Machine, Nairobi University, and then you would find Black Blood, Kenyatta University. That is the background of rugby in Kenya. But right now, if you look at the same sport, it is played everywhere across the country. The schools that win the nationals are no longer the likes of Patch and Changes. Right. They are different teams. The likes of Kakamega High School, etc. So, don't you think there's a way that you can venture with this thing and take it wider? What would be the stumbling blocks in taking it to the wider population, to the schools?
I believe, like any other venture, investment really is key. And interest to invest in any venture has to come from the stakeholders. So our challenge that comes with Icestock is first the awareness. Most people don't know what this is. And so to get the buy-in becomes a bit challenging, and that's why we are grateful even for a chance like this to just speak about ourselves and explain to the nation what we do. Secondly, the other component that comes in is that sport is not something you can do as just one partner. You need a multitude of partners, and this includes the government, as it were. So once the government takes interest in investing in sport, and especially the emerging sports, then the other stakeholders, including the universities, the institutions, and the communities, will step right in. So our challenge is still in that understanding, having people to just come in and hold our hands and drive this forward. Yes.
Okay, I'm seated somewhere, Bona President, watching this program, and I'm thinking maybe I would want to get involved in sports, and I've tried running, it doesn't work for me. I've tried football, I have 2 left feet, or it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
What type of sport is it in terms of physical engagement? First of all, what type of physical exertion are you looking at compared to the likes of rugby and basketball, and so what type of sport is it, and who is best suited to play? Can I play at 50? Can I You know, tell us about it.
I get your point. Actually, globally, we have 4 categories of players. We have under 16, under 19, under 23, and now the seniors. All right? And now you understand, under 16.
Yes.
As young as high school, kids can play it. And then the seniors, I'm still a very active player at my age. So anybody can play. We don't have any limitation at all. But the requirement in terms of your body, what needs to happen to your body is that this is a game one thing on endurance. You need a lot of endurance because there are times when we play in our category with like 12 nations in a day. And you can start at 7 all the way up to 3. So you need endurance, that's one. And then the next thing that you must have is strength. You know, there are only 3 things in sports: endurance, strength, and speed. So speed here is not very important, but you need strength and endurance because you need, this thing is 3.7 kg, the stock. And you can imagine swinging it the whole day. You need to eat well, you need to be strong, and you need to endure. And basically, anybody is welcome. You come to us, we train you. Within a few months, you are good to go.
Tell me, who are the best? What's the best age? You are talking to me about now stepping slowly out of the active playing to go into the management side. You're already part of the executive committee.
Yes.
So tell me, what's the peak age? I can tell you, for example, football. They say that best players start early, start at under 17, and then they pick. The best area is about 27, 28. That's the peak age of, say, an average footballer. They can say the same about athletes, about maybe slightly earlier, about 25, 26 or thereabout. What's the peak age for Icestock?
I want to believe that, given what the President has explained, the peak age is, the range is pretty huge because from when you are old enough to be able to swing 3.7 kgs, and it's up to you to determine how old you think you are not able to do the same. But now, given having to give an answer, then I would say 25 to 35. That's a huge range. Yes.
But you find, there are some countries we play with, which are very good, and they have men of 50 to 60 years, and they beat
the younger.
Yes.
So age here is
not a factor.
Is just a number.
Yes. Correct.
It's not a factor.
No.
And then what about muscle build? Yes, because that means, does it say if I'm more muscular? Say like if you're playing shot put or discus, which are throwing events. You know, is there similarity with those type of events?
You see, the good thing with the stock is that the soul, we have 12 categories, and they move at different speed. So guys who are not as strong, you know, hauna your muscle, you take the faster soul. So you spend less energy.
Yes.
You get. If I may just show you what I mean. This is the handle.
Maybe as you're doing that, maybe you can get help so that the viewers can actually see exactly what you're referring to here.
So this is the handle, and this is very personalized. It's like a tennis racket, which is personalized because the grip here is different for everybody. The length is different for everybody. All right. So you have to have your own personal handle. But this part here, which we call the body, is made of steel.
All right.
So if it gets to your ankle, you can be in trouble.
Yes.
All right.
I get you.
This is what we call the body, and then now this is the soul. This is the soul, and they have numbers. We know them, and from the colors you can tell. High speed, middle, blah blah, all the way to the slowest.
You can just show. You can just show the camera.
The slowest.
Right there.
Yeah. This is the soul. For example, this is a high-speed soul. Anybody, even a kid of primary school, can throw this. And I said this is the handle, and I've just illustrated there. That is the body. So what normally happens is that during competition, each team is given 12 souls. And you select the ones you want because you know your team players, what they like. For example, if my team is made up of, I'm training the ladies, they will not take a blue soul. A blue soul is for the strong guys. Yeah. So the ladies will go for the first ones because muscle si mingi sana kwao. And that's what we do. So anybody can fit in and play.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's really, really interesting. So there are three parts of it. There's the handle,
the body,
and the soul.
Yes.
And would we find this equipment in a Kenyan shop?
No, you can't. Just like you might not find a hockey stick being made in Kenya. They all have to come from outside. So most factories are in Europe, so that's where we have to buy them. And like Daktari said, that's one of our main challenge because one of these stocks is about 40,000 shillings, Kenya shillings. Okay. So, but it will last you for, we started playing with these ones 22 years ago. Okay. The only thing we change are the soles or the handle, but the body will last forever.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you're saying that the equipment there is a one-time investment kind of thing.
Yes. Yes. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you talk about investment, you come into a very tricky area. You've told me about going to Gabon. Yes. How are you making your way to Gabon? How do you fund? How are you going to fund your travel to Gabon?
In the 22 years, unfortunately, we've only had one time funding from the government. And we were super excited. We thought this is now going to be the new norm. However, traditionally, we've always had to, look in and fund ourselves. It becomes unfortunate now when we have the young players who really cannot access funding or any kind of, investment, as it were. And most of the time, we try and talk to well-wishers, anybody who is of goodwill and willing to support us. We ask for either support us in cash, in kind, but 80% of the time we tend to invest in ourselves. We tend to fund the trips. As we're going to Gabon, we're still in talks with the ministry, and we're hoping they come through. At the same time, we're still looking at if that does not come through, how do we do this? And that means going back to our members and asking them to chip in for the air tickets, for accommodation, for meals, and it becomes really tough when we get to that point.
Okay. And you've just talked about it. And what would you like to see happen, or what, as president, what is your vision for the sport, and where would you like to see it go?
The good thing about this sport is that you can play it even on a basketball court. Basketball courts are all over. They're in colleges, in schools, and so on. We would like a situation where we have a way out of purchasing the equipment. If only we can have the equipment in good numbers, in quantity, we will go far. We will move very far. Like she has just said, we are going to Gabon end of this month, and we have requested for funding from the ministry. If we, God forbid, we are praying that we get funded. If we get funded, if we don't, we will still go. Yeah. How? God knows, but we will still go. We will raise the Kenya flag high. Our national anthems have been sung for the 22 years, and we from our own pockets. And sometimes I come to believe that you don't have to expect the government to do everything for you. What can you also do for the government?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. A very quick parting shot as we wind up from you to the viewer, the enthusiast, and also the stakeholder.
Yes. Mine would be to ask for support in prayers, for support in action. Come and see us train. Come and support us to just raise the flag up. And the government, please, we're here and we're raising the flag high. Kindly support us in this one so that we can bring home the African Cup. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You will find them at the University of Nairobi, and they are also in other universities across the country. This is a new sport, 100 people, members so far, and growing, but still a very exciting sport. Strength and endurance being the key things that you need in this one. This has been, this is the last feature of the afternoon. This was Game On.